Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I would like to thank Headmaster Ott for welcoming us to your school and for taking your precious time to meet with me and chat with me, and for making human rights education available and important for the students of the Delphian Oregon. Give yourselves a hand. You have an incredible facility here. You are super lucky, okay? And so give yourselves a hand. Born and raised in an environment of apartheid South Africa. The word apartheid means separate. It means you are white and therefore you are here, you are non-white and therefore you are there, and ne'er the twain shall meet. That's a joke. You get the point. That's pretty ridiculous, right? I mean, I'm looking here, I'm looking over this amazing group here, and wow, this is almost like the United Nations right here in front of me. So I realized that I wanted to do something that would make people just get over the fact that we're different already. Every single one of us are unique and different in our own ways, right? But what we need to do is respect each other. And so I found in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights a document that basically would say, hey, we all kind of have these same 30 basic human rights. Now, in every country, and there are many countries here, I don't even have to ask you, I can just see there are many countries here, which is cool. Okay, but in every country, I believe it's really important to know your constitution of that country, because that's really relevant for that country. But when you stand back and you say, now let's discuss international relations, which is the first thing I bumped into Europe, was that, well, but they come from that country, and even they come from the southern part of that. Like, what do you mean the southern part? Like, what is this, guys? Anyway, so I realized that discrimination is a really, really big issue. So if we all wanted to agree to these words called human rights, then we needed to have a definition that would be agreed upon by most people in the world. All of them, believe me, not going to happen. There's a few pretty gnarly people out there. They're very few, but they're pretty gnarly. Pretty much. Isn't that true? Yeah. Right. Okay, so let's work with the majority of people. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights theoretically has that definition, that document, theoretically is agreed upon by 193 countries. So if we want to look at human rights from a global perspective, if we want to stand back and say, okay, now let's look at human rights and let's all agree to something, that is a very good building block. A solid foundation upon which, if we can just learn and respect those 30 things for each other, then we're going to be able to build a better world. And that's where this document is so important for me. I do not for one minute believe that it's a perfect document, and I know for a fact that there's no country in the world that has 100% perfect human rights. In fact, if any of you guys know of a perfect human rights country, please let me know. I'm going to retire there. Okay. So, in starting the journey of I'm a teacher, so in starting the journey of wanting to teach this human rights, I went out of my way to meet with ministers of education, chiefs of police, pretty much anybody who would meet with me. Now understand that if you were going to meet with me about human rights, they're pretty much already cool people. They're already pretty much pro-human rights, otherwise not likely they'd want to talk to me. Right. And I would go out of my way to ask them, so what do you think about human rights? Do you support human rights? Oh, yes. It was almost an instant, well, you're in my country, in my office, of course. And I said, that's fantastic. So what are human rights? And I would literally watch their bodies, the reaction, they would move about 3 inches away from me. Have you ever asked somebody the definition of a word and they don't really know? Okay? That's what I got. Country after country after country. It was amazing. These are good people. And I realized that most people have the concept of human rights, but they actually cannot give you a definition of it. Now, please, you guys are Delphian students. Who here thinks that we have perfect human rights in the world? Okay, very good. So we have one or two things to handle, right? Okay. If we want to see human rights, do you think we will ever see human rights until the majority of people on this here planet of ours can actually tell us what that is? It's not possible, guys. It's not possible. You want to do math, you kind of need to know. You want to read, you kind of need the alphabet. Right? Human rights, you want to see human rights? Let's decide what that is. And that's basically what set us on the journey of defining this document. Because the document is older than me, I'm very happy to say. But it's not in a language that people, you and me, can easily understand, let alone 10-year-olds. Okay? So what we wanted to do is just take this really important document and just put it in a way that's cool, that's fun, that's relevant, right? And the kids would be interested to learn and that they would remember it. Because the day you need human rights is not the day you take a test. The day you need to know your human rights is when you are in danger. When your family member is in danger. When your neighbor, your friend is in danger. That's when your memory kind of goes, at the bottom. That's when you need to remember what your human rights are. That's how well you need to know it. So when you're panicking, you don't forget them. Okay? So what I'm going to do is share with you a couple of videos that basically, the first one is the story of human rights. Some of you probably have seen it. Others haven't, so we thought that's a good place to start. Is that okay with you? Yeah. Okay, good. The story of human rights. Very good. All right. So the question remains, we have 30 human rights. What are they? So what we wanted to do is create little videos, very short public service announcements, that in a very short amount of time we could get somebody's attention and say, hey, this is your human right, and in a way that they would remember it. Because remember, when you're learning human rights, you must know them that you will not forget at the moment, in the time when you are being threatened, your loved ones are being threatened. That's when you have to remember it. So you need to know them very well, right? Yes. Good. And so this is what we created. I'll share 3 of them with you. They're very short. So, the materials are so easy and fun. They're so quick. And literally, itty-bitty little guys can easily grasp those concepts and quickly learn what their human rights are. So, to me, human rights are like a bicycle wheel. Okay? You have the rim of the wheel because, theoretically, you can travel to 193 countries with this bicycle, and those 30 human rights can go with you, theoretically. Okay? Believe me, no country in the world is perfect on human rights. But theoretically, that country, in theory, agrees with you that those are the 30 human rights. Okay? Bicycle wheel. There are 29 spokes to the wheel. How many human rights do we have? 30. Oh, you guys are great. So, 29 spokes. The right to an education, the right to a nationality, the right to not be discriminated against, and so on and so on. Spokes. But is there anybody here who's seen a bicycle work without that hub? Not going to happen. It won't work. So human rights will not work without that hub. So I'm going to ask 3 people to just volunteer. What do you think? What human right do you think is so important that it's the hub of making human rights work, those 30 human rights work? Yes.
So nobody can take away your human rights.
Nobody can take away your human rights. I think I saw a hand here somewhere. No? Here. I'm going to ask for 3 people. I'm a teacher, you know, you have to bear with me.
The right for education.
The right for education, good idea. One more idea. Yes, way back there.
The right to life.
The right to life. That was correct? Okay, good. To me, of course, this is my own concept of it, but to me, Article 29, responsibility. Because when you think about it, if you want others to respect your human rights, in other words, don't discriminate against me, you have to take responsibility. If you want an education, I know here at Delphian, this is very true, if you want to get that certificate at the end there, right, what do you have to do? Take responsibility, right? Every single one of the human rights, you should do it. You should literally look at the 29 human rights and see if there's any one of them that will work without you putting your responsibility there for that human right. Check it out. I'm always open for debate. I'm a teacher, you know. Bring it on. Okay, so to me, it's responsibility. And what I wanted to do is share with you just one little example of a 5-year-old girl taking responsibility. Do you want to know about it? I'm talking about 5. You know 5? Who here has got a sister or a child or whatever, 5 years old? 5. And we've all been 5, right? Even me. Okay, so you get the concept 5. So there's this little girl, she grew up in Australia. Wonderful parents, loving family, adored until she was 5. What happened at 5? She went to kindergarten. And at kindergarten, the bully started. Why? Because she stutters. You know what stutter is? Right? She stutters. Fact. So she came home and she said to her mama, there is no more school. I'm not going back to that school because there are bullies there and I stutter and no more school. So, well, you know, most of our parents here, I see many around, we kind of know that's a long journey. From 5 years old to 18, that's 13 years of trying to get that child to go to school. So she realized she needs to do something that's going to help this little 5-year-old to get over it, because get over it, my friend, we've got 13 years ahead of us on this, right? And it's the law. So she went online. She found the Youth for Human Rights program, ordered the materials. She sat her little girl down. Now, yes, there's 30 human rights, but to get the concept, you don't need to learn 30. You just need a few. So her mother sat her down. She showed her, you know what? You have human rights. Wow, Mama, this is incredible. This is fantastic. I have human rights. Whoa. But there's a problem. Those kids at my school, they don't know about these human rights. So you need to take these videos to my school and go and teach those kids about these human rights, so they also know about these human rights. So her mother got with a teacher and explained, you know, we have a problem. I mean, she doesn't want to come to school. And the teacher agreed that, you know, there's definitely bullying going on. So what are we going to do about this? Please bring the videos. These kids are 5 and 6 years old. So obviously they just did one video, and a couple of days later another video, and went over it and so on. Went over about 5 of them. The bullying stopped. This little girl was completely happy. Mama, this is fantastic. Love school, no problem. But there's a problem. She said, when I go to karate, those kids, they don't know about these human rights. So you need to take these videos to the karate class and teach them about these human rights. So the mother got with the sensei, the karate teacher, and said, you know, I mean, she really wants to do karate, but she has a problem with the bullying. Yeah, I've seen the bullying, so what do we do about it? And bring the videos. Again, these kids are 5 and 6 year olds, doing their karate, and they learned their human rights, and the bullying completely stopped. The little girl is, Mama, this is fantastic. But now we have to teach everybody about these human rights. So this little girl, by this time, was about 6 years old. She convinced her mother to get just a little table, speak to the local supermarket, what do you call it? Shopping mall. And her mother was there with a computer, and this little one was going out, come, you need to learn about your human rights. So at the age of 6, she was just bringing the people over to come and learn about human rights. Her mother was delighted because her child stutters. That's a fact. That didn't change. But she was confident, she felt she could do something about it, and she felt that by just teaching these human rights, she had made such a big improvement in her own life and also, of course, at school, karate, and the communities. Growing up in apartheid South Africa, we never learnt about human rights. Because what would have happened if human rights were taught to the kids, to the students at that time? And the second human right says, exactly. Do you think that apartheid, which means separate, would be able to exist in an environment where all the students know about human rights and know, excuse me, it wouldn't have been able to exist. Okay? Sion with her friends knew, she has human rights. Me too. Respect. See that? See that? It's magic. It's education. Okay, I'm a teacher. All right, so what I wanted to share with you is another video. And it was made when I was getting started with the program of human rights. And I was saying, so how do we teach this? How are we going to get the concept across of human rights? And this is the video we came up with. So, what I have not told you is that I'm also a Delphi mom. Both my kids went to Delphi, of course, Delphi, LA. And what I wanted to share with you is the fact that these videos that you've been watching were basically made by my son. He was 19 at that time. So just to give you an idea, who here is 19? 19? There you go, 18. 18, start planning your projects. Okay, good. If we just take what's in this room, the number of people in this room, and if each and every single one in this room, hopefully, were inspired by what we discussed and what we showed and shared today, if each of you just reached out to 10 people and not just taught them, but inspired them, and if each of those, in turn, reached 10, well, I'll leave it to the math teacher. You guys got it. You guys are all smart in math. You get that? It's actually very, very quick that we can get the job done. And we can get the job done. That's why I do it, because I believe we can. And I don't think we have to teach every single person. We just have to teach the majority and get them energized and excited enough about it and inspired enough about it that it will just go from there. Yeah. So I just wanted to leave you with the idea that you are important. This is your future. If you just look at your future and think to yourself, do you want to see human rights in that future? Do you? Yeah. Good. Then you are the one who has to teach it, because we will never see human rights until at least the majority of people around us know what human rights mean and agree that these 30 human rights are just the beginning to respect and cherish each other so that we can build a better world. Thank you very much. Thank you.